Continuing with Swift, now I'm going to go over functions. Okay, functions, as you well know, or methods for some other languages, they're a way to group statements together so that they do one self-contained unit. So for example, here we're going to compute the BMI of a person in metric. So I'm going to create a function with the word func, and then the name of the function, BMI metric with weight, for example. Then parentheses, and then the parameters. And the parameters go with the name of the parameter, colon, the type. So for example, here, W is going to be, well, that's the weight, it's going to be a double. Okay, height is going to be another double. Close parentheses, and then the return value is indicated by the arrow like this. And I'm going to return a double. The BMI is a double. And then curly braces. Now, as I do functions, I'm going to show you a few other commands, right? So here we're gonna have a little thing. If the height, the formula for BMI is weight divided by height squared. Okay, which we can put like this. Weight, divided by height squared. That's what this should return. However, if height is 0, then we run into a problem because there will be a division by 0 and that cannot be. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to put a little if, and we're going to say if height is greater than 0, then I'm going to return what I need to return. Then I'm going to return the BMI. Okay. Else, I'm going to return 0 as a double. Okay. Now, I want you to look at a few things here. First, if statements, I don't need to put parentheses around the condition. I can if I want to. And the other thing is all if statements start with curly braces and end in curly braces. The same with the else statements. Even if it's one thing that you're putting in this block after the if, it has to have curly braces. And this is my function. And then, for example, I can print then I can use the print statement to print the BMI for someone who weighs 80 kilograms and whose height is 1.8 meters, right? And then you can see here, here's their BMI, 24.7. Here's the evaluation of that as well, so you have it all in every place. A little note on print. You can concatenate variables just like you would expect in most languages that use strings. For example, like this. You can have, for example, the first part of the string, then the function, but the function returns a double. So we need to make it into a string. You do that by surrounding it with string, parentheses, and then close parentheses. This creates a string out of pretty much any type you throw at it. Okay, so here's the function call. We make that into a string, and then we concatenate it with two other strings. Now that seems very complicated because you have to cast things, convert double to a string, but you can put it inside too. You can say, for example, print BMI and then backslash parentheses, the thing you want to evaluate, in this case the BMI, then close parentheses, and then continue your string. Okay, you could say something like this, print BMI, or if you had, say, for example, var a equals 7, okay, you could print I am, and then slash parentheses, the letter A, close parentheses, years old. And that should print I am 7 years old. You see it's right here, I am 7 years old. So you can put in this notation backslash open parentheses and then close parentheses any variables that are outside of the string. And that's how we printed this last one, the one that says check 2. You can see my console here prints the BMI and then the words check 2. Okay? All right, now let's play a little bit with with the parameters. Now, if I want to, I want to point something out. When we call BMI metric weight, we give it the first number, but then for the second number, every parameter thereafter, I need to put the name, colon, and then the value all the time. Okay? So then it reads BMI metric with weight 80, height 180. Okay, so 80 is the weight. That's why I put the weight. Now I can change this function a little bit to read the following. Instead of doing it like this, I can say BMI metric for, and then, well, I'm going to erase all this because it doesn't work anymore. For, and then I have an external keyword here, weight W, which is a double, and height, which is a double. If I put this word in front of my first parameter, then I have to specify it, right? And then the print statement becomes then print, and look at how you read this. So BMI, I'm gonna put a variable here. I'll say BMI metric for weight 80 kilograms, height 180 meters. Close parentheses, and then period. Okay, good. So now this, as you can see, how you read this, BMI metric for weight 80, height 180. You can do that, okay? Now the other thing that it's interesting to note is that this returns 0 when really the BMI is not 0. The BMI, if the height is less than 0, right, or equal less than 0, then I should just return null. It's not possible to compute this. So what I'm going to do is I can have this function return a double if I can compute a double, and something else, a nil, for example, otherwise. And I do that by just putting a question mark next to the return type. That means it can return a double or not, okay? And in this case, instead of returning 0, I can return nil, which is the null type, okay? So this way I can return a double or nil. If I don't have this question mark, I'm going to get an error, okay? Right there, here's the error. It says nil is incompatible with type double. If I want to return double or nil or any type or nil, I need to specify a question mark in the return parameter. All right, now you can even in functions here, in Swift, you can even return 2 parameters back. Okay, and we can do this. Let's say we're going to return the BMI, which is going to be a double, and we're also going to return a message, which is going to be a string, which is basically going to say how healthy you are, whatnot. I'm going to move the window a little bit so you can see this, right? So I'm going to return BMI as a double and a message as a string. I'm going to return 2 things. In strictly speaking, I'm returning a tuple, which is basically a set of things, okay? In this case, a tuple of 2 elements. So what I'm going to do now here, I have errors in the returns because I'm not returning a tuple anymore. So what I'm going to do for this, I'm going to have a little variable called BMI that's going to be initialized to 0, 0, okay? And I'm going to have a variable called message, which is initialized to nothing, okay? Or can't compute BMI. That's what I'm going to initialize it to. Okay, now, if the height is greater than 0, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a series of conditions here to do recommendations based on the BMI. So I will have, for example, BMI is going to be the weight divided by height squared. And then I'm going to say if the BMI is greater than 29, then message is obese. If BMI is greater than 25, message is overweight. If the BMI is greater than 18.5, then the message is normal. If all else fails, my message is going to be underweight because the height was greater than 0, so there's a height. Now, otherwise, I'm going to return nil, right? Or I'm just going to return, here I can return whatever the initial BMI and the initial message are. Okay, now these variables here, BMI and message, don't have to match these variables. Okay, I could have returned, this could be BMI val, and this could be message val. Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, I just need to return two variables of these types in that order. Okay, so this is how I would return two things. Now I have a little problem here. Let's see what it is. Oh, it needs a return. There's a return here that I'm not returning. It is there if else. Oh, here. Whoops. Nothing. I'm sorry. Got this wrong. Okay, here's my if the height is greater than 0. And then what I'm going to return after this is the message and the BMI, okay, that I computed. Now it says cannot convert return expression type string to type double. Oops, it's BMI message. BMI message. And then when I ask the BMI here, it's going to return the number, the BMI, and the string, in this case for this individual. But I can also print, for example, the function call here, right? I can assign it to a variable, for example. Variable BMI message is going to be that function call, and then I can print, for example, BMI message dot BMI val. That is just the BMI val part of it. And then I can also print BMI message dot message val, which is the second part of this. And you can see in my console how each one of these things is going to be printed. BMI val will print the actual value, the double, and BMI message is going to print normal because it's greater than 18.5 but less than 25. Okay, so this is a little primer and functions. This is a little primer and functions here.